sculpture, you take a piece out, you're stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
You then have to adapt and go around that piece. And sometimes that does happen in mixing, but yeah, it's all kind of like this artistic sort of what I'm always, yeah.
Take a piece out, you're stuck.
Yeah. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
There's an echo.
Hold on, guys.
That's okay.
That piece. And sometimes that does happen in mixing, but
all right, so guys, well, what I did was I switched our stream from Facebook to YouTube because we're fucking straight up fucking painting the internet red right now, man. So yeah, we're trying a bunch of new stuff, guys. So we had a bunch of people on Facebook. I switched it to YouTube. While these guys are talking, I'm doing a bunch of shit over here. So just bear with us. And I do have another hand raised. Is that cool?
Cool.
To jump in there and here?
Yeah.
Cool. And I have more people in the waiting room, and I'm constantly fucking fighting Russian hackers over here.
Jeez.
All right. Eric, my brother, I'm unmuting you.
Yes, I have a Brandon question.
Right on. Let me put it right on Brandon there.
We already kind of touched on the guitar stuff. One thing that's always been just kind of eating at me, because I'm just like, what is happening there? How does he do that? On like a couple of tracks, like when you do You Remember, which is my favorite ANIX song, by the way.
Thanks.
And Defender, like that low bass synth, like I'm wondering what that is and what's going on, because there's this like very subtle like growl from like what sounds like a flange, but I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I use that sound pretty much in everything, including this. In the stems, you will hear that. It's basically a copying or trying to copy the bass tone that Timbaland uses, the producer, in like all those hits he had with like, you know, Nelly and Justin Timberlake and all those songs. There's like that deep, smooth, kind of huge sounding bass that comes in on the choruses. And it's a synth plugin called Sylenth. And it's super basic. It's just adding multiple voices and like detuning some of them, and then moving the cutoff to about the halfway point. And then I'll add like a sub bass thing on it, and then one of the sound toys, I forgot what it's called, Destruction or Decapitator. Yeah. And that's messing with that. To get the like harmonic distortion breakup in it. But yeah, I mean, that's in pretty much all my songs. That's actually when I write a song, that's the first thing I go to like just sketch out a melody, and then I end up usually leaving it. So
that's cool. Great question.
Yeah.
I have another one here from Nick. Hey buddy, how are you? I'm going to ask you to unmute. Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
Can you hear me?
How are you? Yeah.
I'm good. This is a question for Brandon.
Awesome.
So ever since I first heard your music was Give It Up, by far my favorite that you've done. What's drawn me to you ever since was the vocals. I'm so curious on what your chain is for your vocals. They're so unique.
I am too. Thank you.
Man, thanks, man. But I'm definitely not a singer. Like I hear Ryan's like a frontman singer, outgoing, and I'm like this shy, like idiot who just can't sing and do anything. So it's a pretty simple chain. I plug into a Universal Audio Apollo interface, and I'm using a Century like tube preamp in there that has just a little bit of like analog distortion basically. So I'll record that into Logic, and I just try to get a clean recording in, and I'll double it like on the chorus of that song you're mentioning. It's just a doubled vocal, and then I'll start with like a tape delay that's like a dotted 16th pattern, and I'll roll off the low and the high on that, so you don't really understand when it's repeating. It just kind of fills up noise. And then I'll add sometimes slight distortion over the vocals, but I mean, for the most part, I think the sound that you're hearing is that tape delay and just the doubling of the vocal, and that's kind of it.
Let's hear what you did on our track.
Okay, this is a terrible vocal take.
A little bit of auto tune going on.
Yeah, I was trying to make it vocoder-ish.
So good.
But it's Yeah, in the actual finished version, you don't really hear that, and that was the point. It was just like so you hear like the harmonic like overtone. Really, is all I wanted from it, and it was like a single take. Like if I was to really put it in the mix, I would have done it. At least try to do it better.
Sounds like you did a lot of stuff with Ryan's vocals too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I pitched something slightly different.
Wow. That's cool. Wow.
And then if we go back and listen to what the vocals actually sounded like before.
Out of sight, out of line. Am I losing my mind? No more hope, no more lies. I need you right by my side. No master you belong to now. Out of sight, out of line. I think I'm losing my mind.
What this illustrates to me when I hear your stems, the original files, is just how terrible my stuff sounds. Like, it's fucking unbelievable that I'm able to turn such like terrible techniques into something that's listenable. Like, it blows my mind, man.
It's funny. I'm reading some messages here. There's a whole fucking deal here on the message thing. It says, "Good God, please release a version with Brandon's vocals." Wow.
No.
So it's like, even though you think that it's a shit show, and I get it, because trust me, I am a professional shit show recorder. I mean, I drop turds on the fucking digital turds on this fucking thing all the time. Like when I heard your vocal, I was like, "Oh my God, that's so cool!" And I know a lot of people were asking, "Where's Brandon's vocal in this?" It is in there, and they just don't know what to listen for. So when you separate it all out, now you can go back and find out why the vocal that I did sounds different. It's because Brandon's on there, and he's carrying a melody differently too. And it's
you guys are actually singing together on the chorus.
Yes, which is super fucking cool.
He's featuring Ryan. So you just don't notice it, but when you hear it all separated like that, it's really cool.
Jason Corey's asking, do you re-record for the melody line change, Ryan? It's like 2 different notes. It depends. It sounds like Brandon actually changed some of my notes with auto-tune, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. I can go in and change it. We will do that in Julien-K, but sometimes if we're just fucking with the melody, and maybe I walk out of the room, or maybe we're just sitting there moving around to fuck around, we'll leave it if it sounds cool. If it sounds cool, we'll leave it. We don't care. There's not an ego thing of where, oh, no, I didn't sing that exactly like that, so therefore my ego says that I have to be heard. That's not what it's about. It's just about the art and letting everyone play with either one of our vocals as if it's an instrument. That's totally fine. Got some people saying here, you guys are the goats. That's really fucking cool. Thank you. I've been reading that lately, and whoever started that makes us feel, I'm not going to lie, it makes us feel really good. I don't think we're the best, but you guys are really, really cool.
He also, just to go off what you were saying with the vocals, he also changed a lot of the tuning and some of the, in a lot of the chords, the chord changes, I should say, the bass and the guitars, in the choruses. And I mean, the whole thing has some different note changes in it, which work great with Ryan's melody. So,
and I think awesome. Traditionally, taking the already recorded guitars and just like I cut them into like I cut the chorus into 4 parts. Mm-hmm. Then I was able to manipulate and like detune certain sections. And you would normally never do that in a pro studio. Like a real producer would say, "You're crazy. We're just going to retrack it. Sounds like shit." But it's those weird things that I actually like.
I like that too. And I'm glad that you brought that up because, I mean, a lot of this stuff, and I mean, we used to do this back in Orgy too, because, our songs are always a work in progress and always changing, and maybe somebody couldn't replay it, or that guitar got stolen, or it was broken, or who knows, and sometimes we had much more, old school ways of doing things that probably really didn't sound very good. But again, that weirdness, even like with my guitar synth, you know, the fact that it didn't work very well, the glitchiness of it, you know, a lot of that stuff made it on the record, and it's stuff that you can't even redo.
That's what makes it so cool.
You know, they're just those happy accidents, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We always kind of embraced all the stuff. So
awesome.
It's cool to hear that you do the same. And like, if you listen to the bass here, you can hear it being retuned.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're winding it through a tape player or something. But I wanted to keep that original performance because I wanted it to feel like you guys are playing on the track. Cool. I wanted to keep that.
Yeah, and the guitars too as well are they're pretty tweaked.
Yeah.
A lot of people saying that they really, really like the way the vocals sound, even when they're treated. A lot of people are the same brand. Your voice sounds fucking great. I've been listening to a lot of ANIX, like when we first came up with this kind of idea, and Brandon was the first person that we thought of. I kind of did a deep dive, just rediscovering and just kind of grokking it harder. Because when you think about working with someone, you listen to the music differently. Before I was just a fan and I enjoyed it. But I was always really amazed at how rad Brandon's voice sounds. And it's so funny that he thinks the same thing I think about myself. It's really
I got to tell
funny.
this story, which is in my top 3 worst moments of being alive as a human on Earth. It's one of the things that anytime I think about, I kind of just get quiet after for a few minutes because it's just so fucking dark. This was probably early 2000s. And is when I was just learning how to sing, really, like just doing the early demos for the ANIX and all this stuff. And, you know, I was working this job, and there was this rich guy that came in that was apparently friends with, like, you know, all these big artists, and he was funding their tours and all this crazy stuff. So he came in and he heard one of my demos and liked it. So he invited me over to his house to talk more. And he's like, yeah, bring an acoustic guitar with you. So I'm like, okay, go over there. And it's like giant mansion. You know, I'm super intimidated. You know, this guy can like make your career basically. And he brings me into he has a home private theater, full on multi, like, you know, 20 row theater. And he goes, go up and sit on the stage. And it's him and his friends. And he's like, okay, I want you to play Bon Jovi, whatever this Bon Jovi song was. And I didn't fucking know, you know, a Bon Jovi song. So he's like, it's okay if you don't know it. Just wing it. Just try to play it and sing it. So I'm like, fuck, man. I'm sitting there like trying to figure out the notes real quick. Then I go off and try to sing it. And it was just a catastrophic, utter embarrassment, failure of the worst, absolute worst kind. And I could see all of his friends kind of like sitting there trying not to laugh. He's like, how about this song? He names another one. He's like, try to play this one. So now I'm like singing a cappella. And that's just not my style at all. Like, I don't play. I'm not a singer songwriter.
You're not a fucking dancing monkey, right? It's so fucking belittling.
Oh, dude. Yeah. So like I can see them. This is like their personal entertainment, just like humiliating, you know, someone trying to dangle like the hopes and dreams. So it was just like this horrific, awful. It's still like just the thought of it is just so awful and disturbing. And I think that's something that you know, a lot of people in the entertainment industry go through, whether you're an actor, you know, musician or whatever. You have these moments that you could either just somehow survive and keep fighting through, or that can just cripple you and you're done.
Yeah.
And for a while, it took me a long time to come back after that. But that's just one of those, talking about like the failures. That was one huge defining moment that I had to just figure out a way to come back from it. So.
Sorry that happened to you. That's shitty.
Dude,
it's funny though, but that happens.
Yeah.
You know, like I have stories like that are not exactly like that, but that are equally degrading and just horrible, you know, that people pull on the people that are trying to be creative. And, you know, the funny thing is being the new singer of Edema, and with the invention of the internet, because I don't think any of these people would say the stuff to my face now, because I'll fucking break your arm. Like for real, I will. And people just, you know, cruise by and just throw grenades at the fact that you're actually up there executing real creative product. You know, you're doing the thing that they don't have the courage to do. And, you know, back before the internet, you know, some of these people with some power or bullies, you know what I mean? They would just do this in real life. You know what I mean? Maybe before I was 6'3" and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, it's painful shit, you know. It's definitely the defining moments as a singer, and it happens like all the way up until even when you've sold some albums and all that shit, you know what I mean? It doesn't necessarily go away. You kind of always have to be ready for that. But I think it's important to understand, everyone on this call too, a lot of people are creatives, and a lot of people are here getting little gems of like how we do what we do. And one of the ways we make it through this stuff is to turn this stuff into a strength and a defining moment instead of a total, you know, huge defeat.
Yeah. I always, I had this, you know, early on, I think everyone wants the approval of like your friends and, you know, people that you're surrounded by to like your music. And that kind of like, you always finish a song and you want to show your friends and get their approval, and okay, it's cool to go. But after a while, it's like you realize your friends don't really care, and they stop commenting. Like I would show songs to my friends, and like the song would finish and there was just no reaction, just total silence. And for me, what helped was once I stopped seeking the approval of everyone and just doing the song to what I thought was finished and cool, not showing anyone. It would go straight from the studio, no one would hear it, to published out on, you know, all the Spotify and Apple and all that stuff. That's when I started pumping out songs at a, you know, a rate that I've never done before. So I think, you know, it's the same with anyone out there that's an illustrator, graphic designer, artist. It applies to any of the creative fields. I think once you just find the approval internally with yourself, within yourself, that's a huge win to move, you know,
absolutely forward. Yeah, absolutely. Tim, my brother, I see you patiently waiting there. I'm going to ask you to unmute. How are you?
Hey fellas, how are you?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Can you hear me?
Stoked to be here with you. Yes.
Yep, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay. Hey Brandon, how are you? I love the ANIX. Great stuff.
Hey, thanks, man.
I love the track. Will you guys be doing more work together, and also will you be touring possibly?
Oh, that's really funny that you said that, Tim.
Tapping into our phone calls.
You obviously are a stalker, and you have electronic listening devices in our studio. Hey, I'm kidding. I love you. I'm muting you out of love so that we can answer you. Those were fucking great questions, as usual, dude.
Yeah, funny enough, I was actually just showing Brandon some stuff, and we were kind of figuring out a way to, you know, move forward on some more things together for our stuff. And obviously we're extremely open to work on anything that you've got, you know, if you want to let us in behind the ANIX curtain, you know, be happy to come to you.
Yeah. And I would
just work in your environment.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever works.
I think that was this collaboration, the video. I think the reason why we put, or at least I put in so much effort, is because I felt this was like the starting point of creating this like syndicate of, like we talked about, other musicians coming in, but in particular with you guys, like it's just the starting point of, you know, expanding what we have. So like when I come over here, I see your talents, your gear, like your writing process and all this stuff, and how that can be applied to some of my stuff. And, you know, and it's the same with you guys, what I can bring to you. So I think definitely there's more in the future.
I think an interesting thing that, you know, when we came up with this alternative universe idea, and before we even called it I think it was kind of alt universe in the beginning, come to think of it. And we were just looking for some sort of way to introduce new energy into our lives and our creativity and work with people that we love and that we're fans of. And starting with Brandon, the funny thing is, I think the standard, we are working with other rad artists that are going to be part of this concept, and it'll be different applications and different songs. But what's happened here and the runaway success that occurred and how much feedback we're getting,
we set the bar pretty high.
I think the bar is set so fucking high. It's really, I think this is going to probably turn into something a lot more than what I anticipated in the beginning, or what we anticipated. And
Brandon is actually comfortable doing.
But I think the cool thing about doing something like this, and the idea of it, was something where we don't have to give up our own brands. We can still do what we do, but together we might be able to do something that's even more, you know, special and spectacular. And what I learned really quickly is that us together, for some reason, we hit the nerve of what the fans of our music want. And we seem to have really just given the tones and sounds and feelings that people really, really love. And that for artists like us, like when Brandon's saying, we don't get a lot of feedback from our friends because a lot of our friends are over us. Straight up. They're over us.
No one cares.
Can you imagine being my like personal everyday friend? How over me you would be? I mean, everything I do is the best thing ever. Oh my God. Julien-K is this, Julien-K that, the ANIX. Oh my gosh. Together we're Jesus' second coming. Yeah. You're really over in about 2 days.
Yeah.
So, the fact that you guys really like it, that's the main fucking reason we're here.
Yeah.
That's you're the only people we care about. The prime people that we care about we're making music for other than ourselves are on this fucking 50-person session, and the people out there on watching on the other outlets. We care about our fans. That's it. It's fucking it. Yeah. So it means the world to us that you guys dig it. So.
I think you hear that a lot. Like everyone, you hear artists, yeah, we care about the fans, but I mean, it's a different level. I think with what I've seen with you guys and how I try to interact with, as many people as possible. But I think the ultimate reward when you put out a song is just knowing and seeing numbers that people are listening to it. That's the absolute biggest reward. I talked to a lot of people that DM me that are just starting, and it's hard because you put all this work into a song and then you put it out and, you don't get a lot of streams, or you don't get a lot of people hearing it. And you're trying to figure out how do you reach an audience. So I think we're both so lucky that we have people that actually want to hear what we do. So if you take away any kind of payments and any kind of press or whatever, it just comes down to the best part of it. The most exciting part when we're writing is knowing that once it's done, you guys are going to hear it and hopefully like it.
That's awesome. I got a couple other hands raised here. Do you guys mind if I queue them up?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Awesome. So Simon, my brother, how are you? Unmute yourself.
We need to hear some audio.
There we go. Hey, buddy.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Everyone, very good. Very good. Europe loves you too.
Oh, we love Europe.
Apart from the hackers. On the subject of what Brandon is comfortable with, welcome to the world of Julien-K.
Yeah.
As an initiation, I think that you need to get your motorbike license, my friend.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's so funny. You sound like me. That's really great. Yeah, we would love that.
Yeah, that's been on the radar for a long time. I've always loved motorcycles because it's an excuse to wear like the coolest gear imaginable. Like you can just go into a grocery store, in full Tron costume basically. So that's a huge motivation. Plus a bike is like a big piece of technology. Like it's a gadget. Yeah. It's awesome.
It's a big fucking rideable toy.
Yes.
And it gives, you're so funny that you nailed the gear. And I think a lot of people are like, oh my God. Number one, I go around in full motorcycle gear and black leather and no one they're like, oh, so Ryan's here.
Yeah.
They're like, there's absolutely no fucking problem. And I had some friends that were like, oh, dude, I like to ride. Man, I don't know about all that gear. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, we always text with me and Amir, or like, let's go for a ride. And Amir's like, okay, suiting up. Richard's like suiting up. All of our friends it's really funny the way that happens. So
I think the one thing, Simon, the one thing that's interesting too is like when you go around and because I used to ride, I rode for years back in the late 80s and 90s, and so of course I'm just getting back into it again. But it's always fun when you go into a place and you've got a few people, even if you're by yourself. But when you walk in with a helmet and all leathered up and everything, people look at you. It's like a police officer just walked in, or like somebody,
or in our case, a death trooper.
Yeah, exactly. A death trooper, or like somebody, a military, person walks in, and it's just like people kind of give you a different kind of respect.
Yeah.
When you walk in, fully decked out in motorcycle gear. That I don't know why that is, but it's always been that way. And especially if you've got a bunch of people, then people are like, oh shit, these guys are serious.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And bikers have each other's backs too. That's always been, one of the really cool things. When you ride down the road, you see a biker, it doesn't even matter if they're on a Harley or whatever they are, they always wave at you, and if something ever happens, if there's another biker around, that they got your back.
Do you ever, Amir, do you find yourself ever driving in the car and you're just driving and then a biker and you kind of wave you accidentally like, hey, do what you, yeah, because on when you're riding motorcycles, everyone says hi to each other. Like all the bikers like kind of give each other like I call it like a too cool kind of hi, man. And I do it in the car and they're looking at me like, what's this fucking idiot waving at me for? You know, so it's pretty funny.
It's like a secret society. And I think it's cool because like for our video, it just totally made sense.
It did. Yeah.
You know, because it's just like we're part of a secret society.
Yeah. I think most of my life I've been looking for ways to just leave the house in what most people would consider a costume.
Yeah.
And
well, that's one way to do it.
Yeah, motorcycle is a great way to do it.
Yeah, true.
Doing music's another excuse. So yeah.
It's a funny thing because the more geared up you are on a moto, the safer, right? So it's like pretty rad. You know, it's a good reason to gear it on up. Like, let's see, can I get a reason to wear this fucking, black armored leather jacket in the summer?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go 80, and it'll be cool.
Yeah.
My brother, how are you? I see your hand raised.
Sweating like nonstop in the summer, dude.
What's that? Say again. You broke up a little.
I said, you must be like sweating nonstop during the summer if you're looking for excuses to wear leather all the time.
I am. I'm just like, I can't help it.
To the look.
That's part of the creed, of course.
It just gives you an excuse to find another jacket.
For sure. I'm glad I didn't have to hake my way in. Thank you for giving me voice. But yeah, I wanted to say to both of you, I'm really glad that you guys took the opportunity to do this collaboration because I listened to you guys, of course. I'm familiar with the ANIX. I've listened to a few songs here and there. I'm like, this is cool stuff. I knew that like a lot of younger crowd likes the ANIX, and I was going to show like a little anecdote. I know these guys, Battle Tapes, Josh Fordman. He was talking about how he met up with Brandon way back when. And he's like, yo, he's a really cool dude. And I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. And then I see like a lot of his fans like the ANIX. I'm like, wait a sec, like all these guys kind of like this. So this circles into this circles into this. So you crossed over with Julien-K, which is another, like, obviously I love you guys. And then it's like, okay, so this kind of fits this. Let's see what you guys do. And I'm like, this is really cool. I showed it off to these guys. They're like, wow, I never heard of this Julien-K band. I love the ANIX and like, this is really neat. So like by doing this, like you're kind of building these bridges between all these different communities. And I love seeing that. So I just wanted to thank you guys for doing that.
Thank you. That's a really cool comment. I'm going to mute you out of love. That was fucking awesome. And that gives us a little bit of an opportunity to talk a little bit about the spirit and the ideas behind collaborating. And you sort of nailed it. I mean, you just laid it out perfectly. One of the ideas is obviously we have a lot of fans that would like each other and some that don't know about these two bands. And then we also share a ton of fans. To me, that's like a perfect storm of the reasons why we should collaborate on stuff and actually do more because again, this is going to be an ultimate fan pleaser. The people that love both our bands would love to see us do shit together. And that, in my opinion, is the way bands should be directing their activities. They should be doing things that their fans love. Believe me, we've worked with other bands, acts, produce people and everything that they literally don't think like that. They're in their own heads. They're concerned about everything that's not important. And they're not really concerned with the thing that is important. And that's the people that are consuming the music. And then of course, your own soul, and I think that we've learned one of our key principles in Julien-K is what would the fans love? We hear a piece of music and we go, oh, fuck, we think the fans would love that. That makes us kind of get into it more. And that's a key thing to keep in mind. And that was a key motivator behind this collaboration.
Yeah, and I think also sometimes people will reach out about collaborating with me, wanting to do a song, and trust me, I've done collaborations with people that don't even have they have one follower on Instagram. Like it has nothing for me. It doesn't have to do with. I guess there's always a different motivational factor. It's not always about partnering with someone that's bigger or that has more fans or whatever. It's just partnering with somebody that has something unique to contribute that you can't do yourself. And that's the same thing with whether you're talking music collaborations or brand collaborations, doing a shoe or like doing whatever it is. You just have to always think when you're reaching out to somebody and you want to collab with them, what can you do that they can't? And it's such an important part that's overlooked, I think.
And not only that, but does it, there's even people that are really, really good and are cool and they can do stuff that you can't, but is it right for each other's brands?
Yeah.
Like, does it actually work with your brand?
Does it feel authentic?
Yep.
Or is it more of like, forced product placement?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, for instance, Aerosmith's pretty good at what they do, but you know what I mean? We probably wouldn't translate that well.
Yeah,
right. I mean, even though we
exactly.
probably come up with something good, but that's just a little lesson in making sure that you're on brand when you do collaborate with each other. Make sure you're looking for people that really complement, every aspect of what you're doing.
It's got to be in the same universe.
Yeah. It helps for sure.
Definitely.
For sure.
Or not, because sometimes you can have a train wreck that can be amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for us, it's really about kind of keeping in the same universe and knowing that universe, and sort of accepting, what we are, what we've been, where we're going, all of that.
Of course, someone said, Aerosmith collabed with Run DMC. Yes, we know. Fuck you. Maybe it wasn't the best example.
And that was my point. Is like sometimes, you get something so odd that it actually creates a new genre of music.
Yes. Nick, my brother.
So
I'm unmuting you.
Hello again.
Hi.
So it's a bit of a different question, I guess. It could apply to the song that just came out with you guys, but also another one mainly for Brandon, but I guess everybody as well. Lyrically, your songs have always sort of hit a different note. What inspiration, what do you take for inspiration when it comes to lyrics for songs?
Great question, my brother. I'm muting you out of love. Go for it.
Man, again, like the vocal process for me that's not my favorite part. My favorite part of the whole thing is completing a song. So like the vocal is just a necessary part for the completion. But I try to start with finding a cool word that can be like the song title and basing everything around that. So a recent one where I thought it was quicksand. So, I start thinking of all these different ways to use words that tie into that. But I think ultimately all my songs have a pretty melancholic, depressing vibe to it, because that's just always been the music that spoke to me. Like growing up, I was never interested in anything positive sounding or like happy or uplifting.
Which is why we're friends, and which is why this all works.
Exactly. So I always, and like for me, the absolute best songs were the ones that made me like, fuck, dude, I could like kill myself right now and I'd be totally cool with it. Those were literally my favorite songs. So I think, I'm just trying to capture some of that.
That's funny that you said that thing about, sometimes coming up with a word or a title, because that's what I do. I don't, write lyrics per se. I mean, I make suggestions, but I usually leave that all up to Ryan. Mm-hmm. But I do come up with a concept or a title a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. And then I give it to him. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's by accident. Sometimes things, I'll tentatively title a song Maestro. Mm-hmm. Because I started the song on that very Maestro drum machine. And I just thought, oh, that's kind of a cool, just for a tentative title. And then he kind of ran with it, and it became the Maestro of Blame, or whatever you say in the song. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that became the song.
The master manipulator asshole.
Yeah. So it ended up becoming the title of the song, even though initially it was just like a working title.
Yeah.
But then sometimes I come up with titles like, I don't know, Harmonic Disruptor or whatever, something that I was like, okay, I have this idea. I've got to actually have a concept for the song. Fu and I kind of get to work and we kind of lay out this music, and I'm like, I'm thinking this is like the title track for the album.
Yeah.
And then Ryan just went in and nailed it vocally from that,
You guys have always had the best like names and like words to use on all of your branding, merchandise, your guitars, everything just had the fucking coolest name. And
thank you.
That's probably where I, subconsciously got that thought process of find the cool name and word that's like would be great on a shirt, would be great,
we kind of started doing that stuff in Orgy. We were always kind of like trying to almost like invent words.
Yeah.
Which I think we did for some things, but we've kind of continued that. I've always kind of driven, at least for our band, it doesn't always work for all bands, you know. But for our band, I've always really liked to have unique titles because, for one, you know, just a simple reason is it's easy to search. It's easy to find online, and it will be a quick association, right? But also for me, on a creative aspect, I just think it's cool.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people have told me over the years, very famous producers, that it's stupid. That, you know, who cares what the name of the song is, honestly. But I don't know. For me, it's like, I like the title to paint a picture. Like, you haven't even heard the song, but like, you know, I'm pretty sure Ryan came up with Lies Like Fire for this song, but it paints a picture already. You know, I think that's cool. And I think it's important, honestly. And, you know, you hear a song title like Harmonic Disruptor. I mean, already, you know, like, okay, this is not going to be a pretty song.
Yeah.
Right. You know, you're probably going to get punched in the face, which is literally part of the lyric.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we always kind of strive to have, you know, a lot of times we kind of make up words like spectrometer. It's like two different words that I put together, and it was just like the song. I kind of started it, and I don't know. It's just like sometimes these things, they just pop into my head.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, that's kind of it doesn't need to be the chorus or anything like that. It's just a feeling, right?
Yeah.
From the title, and then Ryan will just run with that.
Yeah.
And he comes up with some great titles too, you know, like Photovoltaire. It's like one of my favorite songs we've ever done.
Yeah.
He came up with that, which is, I think, is really an interesting concept too.
A lot of when I do lyrics, I try not to use all these futuristic words. And I think a good way to describe the thought process is, like, if you think of Star Wars, for example, if the entire movie was all scenes of like where Darth Vader lives, like in his ship, and everything was like gloss white and black and red, it would be cool for a second, but it's just overkill. So that's why Star Wars is so great. It's because you have the different worlds that you get breaks from each world, and you go to like see, you know, the you know, where the Jedis are, and like you see like the sand and all that stuff. Then you go back to Darth Vader, and it's all futuristic. So I think with my music, people already know it's somewhat futuristic sounding already. So if I were to add in all these futuristic words, then it's just overkill. So
it's almost kind of too obvious.
Yes,
it's nice to have the counterbalance, the yin to the yang, right?
That's it, the yin to the yang.
It's a classic concept of juxtaposition. You know what I mean? You never want to be so literal. We were talking about this just before we got on, right? And that is when artists that we even know and love go so, they're so vertically integrated into the brand that it becomes almost like a caricature of themselves, or a caricature of like almost what people would make fun of like a type of music or sound. And I think that we've always tried to be sort of like these juxtaposition
I love
versions
contradiction
of, these contradictory versions of what you would imagine us to look like not exactly the Hot Topic version of almost what would influence Hot Topic is what we try to do always. Like, you can knock us off, but we're not going to go in there and buy your shit and fucking wear it, right? We're going to go deeper. We're going to look harder. We're going to look for artists and designers and fashion that we think you guys can diffuse later, but we want to pioneer it and figure that out and combine things in a way you guys haven't thought of.
Yeah. That applies to everything, at least everything I do. And I see you guys do it too. All the graphics, the videos, the pictures, photos, lyrics, it's the yin and yang philosophy,
the dark and the light.
Exactly. And when I see a lot of artists that it's just one direction. It's just the black side of the yin and yang puzzle. And there's not the balance. And that's, I think, just such an important part.
I think I'm always leery, like when Amir mentioned that a lot of producers will say like name doesn't matter. And I agree with them that like we have a lot of producers just act like, anyways, none of this really matters. It's just the melody of the song. And if you have that like skipping, repeating melody and it's a hit, we can get on the radio. That's all that fucking matters. Everything else goes away.
Who cares what it's called? Who cares what?
And it's this concept of like just reducing everything out because just for the, I don't know what the end game is. I think just to focus on the one thing that matters so you can make the money. And I always thought that was so lame because I think everything matters about our art and it's up to us to utterly define it. And if you don't utterly define it, someone else will for you. And I'm not fucking leaving that option. There's already enough. There's already enough of interpretation that's going to go on with our lyrics and all that kind of stuff. But I want to paint the best picture I can for you guys. And I know that's why I work with these guys, because I know that we're very into really sending out a complete motion picture. You know what I mean? Built in with games and everything. Sorry. For those that don't have this shirt. But I've gotten literally 50 messages about shirts on YouTube, Instagram, on here. So
that's another segue into like the whole collaboration and like, I guess, strategy behind this stuff is, I realized early on, like when I was chasing Jordans when I was a kid, something that you can't have and something that's hard to get and that's not infinite, just has more value and there's more reward when you get it. And then the people that do have it respect it more. So, when I would do, before I figured this out, I would do these huge runs of shirts and, they wouldn't sell out. And, it was just,
everyone feels bad.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone loses. Everyone is pissed. But then it's like, we're not in the business to warehouse this huge inventory of merch. So I would much rather do smaller runs. Everyone's excited. They feel like they won and they got something, and then move on and do the next thing. And then that way you always have these like short, artifacts from that moment.
And we do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like, we're totally on the same page with all of that. It definitely makes it a lot more special. And I can't wait to see like people's t-shirt collections, like 10 years from now and be like, oh my God, I totally forgot about that shirt. And there's gonna be some cool stuff floating around.
It's a funny thing that when we talk internally with bands that we work with and collaborate with, we always mention the word, the economic law of scarcity. Economic laws are laws because they're fucking laws. They're immutable. You know what I mean? They work. So when something is scarce and awesome, the value goes up and the demand goes up. The whole thing becomes more of like a bit of a zeitgeist type of, it's the spirit of the moment. You know what I mean? It's this cool thing. And when you get that piece of it, you get to have that. And it's very, very special. So that's just to answer a bunch of questions I got about, hey, how come you guys didn't make more shirts? How come you guys didn't do that? That was a really, really full, good answer of why we try to limit things. And maybe if we were a giant corporation or some big band, we'd make, 10,000 of each piece or something like that. But we're just not in that world,
Yeah. But I think the next like song or whatever we do together, we'll probably do some form of merchandise, whether it's a shirt or something else. Cool. But I think it's always cool to bring that physical element. Like we have all this digital songwriting, you put it out digitally, you listen to it through speakers, but it's also cool to have like the physical artifact of that creation. So
I agree.
And I'd recommend next time, get on it.
Yeah.
Get after it. I got a couple more hands raised before we keep moving. Is that cool, guys?
Yeah.
All right. Damone, hello, my friend. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Hello, Damone. Okay, there we go. Hey, buddy.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, a comment that Brandon made some time ago that, sometimes it helps to collaborate with people who do things that are different. But have you ever had an experience where you've collaborated with someone who does the exact same thing that you do, only in a different way?
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys get that?
No. What was it?
Okay. So have we talked about people? Paul, I'm gonna Damone, I'm gonna mute you because it's loud. But I love you. He asked, is there a time that we collaborate and we're collaborating with someone that really just does the exact same thing that we do, but in a different way? I think honestly, that's a semantic way of saying that they bring something different to the table. I think it's just a little bit of semantics that we all do the same thing. We all work on digital audio workstations.
Yep.
We all work in multimedia. We all have, honestly, any one of us could pick up each other's tools. We can almost play every instrument ourselves, right? So we kind of do the same thing, but we do it differently.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much exactly, I think, what we're talking about, is we obviously are looking for people who make music and work in these mediums. But I think when you're working with an artist like the ANIX or the artist like Julien-K, you know, we're not just sitting down making a song. For us, it's just that's not enough. We have to do the whole fucking thing. That doesn't mean there can't just be songs. Of course there can be. But typically our scope is wide, and we want to accomplish a lot and paint, like I said, a big picture. Yeah. So we do have similar skill sets, but we do it differently, for sure. And I've got Paul here, and thank you, Damone. Another great question as usual. Paul, go ahead and unmute yourself, my brother, and turn on your fucking camera, man.
All right. Here I am.
Oh, hey, buddy. There he is. I'm gonna pinch that fucking face.
You guys know me.
I'll pinch your face. All right.
How you guys?
We're fucking great, man.
Like, I just wanted to ask, like, are you guys gonna be like collaborating with other artists, or are you gonna collaborate more with the ANIX, or are you gonna like? I'm just curious. Are you gonna have like a collaboration album or something, maybe?
Well, okay. That's a great question. I'm going to mute you out of love, and I'll start answering that. And we I think someone else answered something along those lines, and we probably didn't get to it because this is the way these things go. So jump over to Zoom. The idea here was Amir and I were going to try and work with a variety of different artists that we loved. And it was really just an idea. Would anyone be interested in doing this concept with us? And obviously if someone was interested in doing the concept with us, that would mean they're kind of thinking what we're thinking. So yeah, the idea is definitely, we have a couple other well-known artists you guys are going to be really happy with that are working on tracks with us right now. It just so happens that this one just, for a variety of reasons, this just turned out to be greater than anything I think I could have wanted to do with this whole thing. So the answer is, yeah, I think we are going to be working together more with the ANIX, and what that ends up looking like, what we call it, whatever it is, I think we can just figure that out. But yes, we're definitely going to work on new stuff together. We just went through a lot of stuff pre-session with you guys, and we're very excited. I'm very excited about it. And as far as the alt universe concept with Julien-K, we have a couple more tracks in the mix. What we end up doing with all of it and what those artists are capable of doing or want to do, remains to be seen. But they will be really cool collaborative tracks that we just like what we did with Brandon, except of course interpreted different, executed different, and a different set of content. So stay tuned for that. And that was an awesome question. Anything you guys want to add to that, or you guys want to keep moving on to playing some stuff?
You covered it.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to move on to playing some stuff. And guys, we're at about an hour 42 minutes. So we will keep moving and probably wrap this up around the 2-hour mark if we can. But this has been going great, and your questions are super helpful for us. This has been awesome and super easy to do. So thank you so much.
It's funny. The way you did that beginning is really something similar to what I would do in working. I used to do that a lot. And there's a few songs I think that have that, like intro or something.
Yeah.
So right when I heard that, I was like, that's really cool. I like it.
I mean, I'm really happy with the way the vocal sounds. I mean, being the singer, I know Brandon's quite aware of this for himself. You always hope that someone's going to treat your vocal like cool, so you sound okay. And I love the way this sounds. It makes me want to play. It makes me want to sing the song.
Yeah, for the verses, I was going for this Julian Casablancas Daft Punk, that collaboration.
Yeah.
That kind of like, I don't know how you even describe it, but just that pad sound that comes in, and then that tom hit, it kind of just sounds like a drum machine playing.
What is that weird?
That's a tom that's going. It's like a tape distortion effect on the tom. And then of course, like just trying to make these huge like 90s. Like I was listening to Nirvana, like In Utero, that album, where like all you hear is this enormous snare. Like the snare has more like bass than pickup. So like that Steve Albini style production.
Right.
and then of course dipping back down on the verse just to give the chorus that emphasis and then to just explode.
Jason says the guitar and bass mix perfectly on the chorus. I agree.
A lot of it was the mastering Mike Marsh did.
Yeah, Mike's amazing.
Yeah. Because generally I master my own stuff, but sending out a pre-mix to him forced my mix to have more transient attack than what I usually have. So I think the drums hit a little harder than my typical songs because of what I had to send out to Mike.
Yeah, it took me some time to find him, honestly. Experimenting with a lot of different people. And, I'm going to talk about this breakdown a bit. But so far, he's been awesome. So yeah, this breakdown part is a complete departure from the original version, which is a much more aggro, kind of heavy riff. You kind of broke it down, and it's kind of interesting because we do these kinds of electro breakdowns too, and some Julien-K stuff. So I loved what you did right away with that. What did you use for this little sequenced part?
That was the arpeggiated synth thing. So of course it couldn't be one of my songs without having that in there.
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think it was the Grandmother.
Oh, cool.
And then the synth bass under that is what we were talking about earlier, that silent sound that again is in all my songs. And actually if you go to the chorus and you just solo the keyboard or the synth stuff, that's kind of like really how a lot of my more electronic songs, that's what they sound like.
That's cool.
Is that the verse?
That's the verse.
Okay.
I love that.
And then there's also, it's got a little movement to it, and then both together.
Yeah, and then where's the bass? Juno bass and then silent bass.
So what is this Juno bass? Is that a plugin or is that? Okay.
That's a Tal Audio plugin.
Sounds good.
And then that's the silent sound.
Right. So that's kind of your signature sound.
That's like my favorite sound ever. And then there's an unused arpeggiated thing. Bass guitar's crazy.
One thing you missed though is that you should have flipped the phase on the bass. Just a little. That's a little trick.
Damn.
Yeah, I always check all the phase on everything. So I went through and also checked the phase between your two synth basses. But when you introduce a real instrument as well, you should always check that.
Yeah.
Because you may, just get 10% more in the right place without doing anything.
Yeah.
Right. No EQ or anything.
There's something I'm wondering about as well, like the signature ANIX arpeggio.
Same with
I definitely want to hear that and kind of understand that a bit too.
I want to hear this thing that he was talking about that was unused.
This is again that signature thing that I use.
So you actually had this in the beginning of the song.
Yeah, that was like that was going to be the song, but
nice.
That's cool. I think you made a good choice.
Yeah, I thought it was a good choice too.
Because it's just really moving out.
Yeah, I like cool. I like the minimalistic approach about it.
It's harder. Yeah, it's like tougher.
Well, you hear everything.
So ultimately, I just decided to have that kind of vibe in the breakdown. Yeah, I just, for whatever reason,
It's great.
I really like using it. I think I originally had it in the chorus. I love using it in the choruses because it just maximizes the space. It's an arpeggiated line. arpeggiated run can just fill up, the whole sonic spectrum, the bass all the way up to the high end, and it just makes the chorus have this movement. So that's why it's in a lot of my songs in the chorus.
No, you did some really cool things. It all works together really well, and that's what's important. So yeah, I was also telling Brandon too, you can check this stuff here as well. So I just use a little trim plugin because it doesn't really use any DSP to flip the phase, at least in Pro Tools. So there's a little phase button. I think Fu showed me that trick. And then you can, I would typically, if I was going to mix this, I would go through and check how the phase relationship is between all your new guitars and the old ones, just like I do with everything else. And I bet you that I'd probably get a little more out of it.
I'm sure you would. I never mess with the phase.
Yeah, it's very tricky because in some cases it can be very subtle.
Yeah,
the difference, and so you do really have to pay attention because you can actually make it sound worse. But like right here, just quickly, I was like, yeah, this definitely added a little more in the bottom that it needed. And
yeah,
I think one of these guitars I flipped, and it was better. But yeah,
Paul, my friend, trick. How are you there? Fucking smoking out.
Hey, I just want to say I'm probably gonna be getting off, but I just wanted to say how much I appreciate you guys and this video, and I love Brandon. I love you. And I've loved Julien-K forever, and I'm so stoked that you guys are working together, and that is just amazing. And it's like a dream come true, to be honest.
Thank you so much.
Paul. So I can't wait to see what collaborations you come out with next. And I hope you guys have a really great day.
Thank you so much.
You too.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you too.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
See you, man.
All right. Cool.
We have the best fans. Seriously.
Awesome.
It's just,
yeah, for sure.
And I know we share a lot of them, and they're just such great people.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
All right. So as we're getting close to the end, guys, we got a few minutes left. Anything else that we think we want to kind of wrap some of this up with? Anything we want to share? We've gone through a lot of stuff.
Really covered everything.
Yeah. Cool.
I think we really covered it. I would just, like to say thanks to everybody. I mean, had a lot of cool people on today, and it was awesome to have Brandon here. And yes, we are planning world domination with a whole bunch of different ideas that we've been tossing around, even more than just doing music together. So expect a lot more from us.
Yeah. Super grateful to be here. This has been awesome. It's great to meet all these new fans, and just really appreciate everybody supporting the video and leaving comments. And we're checking that stuff all the time. We read every comment, and all that stuff is just a more motivation to just keep going and do more.
We got a load of questions coming in. Can we take this last load?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Perfect. All right. So I got you 2 hands raised here. Oh, now 3. At some point I'm gonna cut it off, but probably we'll see if we can get to you, Nick, but we've got you a couple times. So let me get these other guys. Okay. We love you though. Can we see this conference on YouTube? I'm streaming to YouTube live right now. Was the guitar breakdown at the end reworked? And we can give the shorter version.
The guitar breakdown?
Probably the solo.
The solo? I might have pitched a note differently. You might know, Amir.
I was wondering that myself, actually. I don't know. It sounds the same.
Yeah.
Sounds the same to me.
It's the
but
chorus
it's
part.
Obviously kind of placed in a different way, and it's also placed over a different rhythm, which makes it more interesting and makes it different.
Here's the original, I think. I think this is the same part.
And we're at 31,000.
I think it's just the notes under it that I changed to make it sound different.
Yeah. So you start again. Well, there are some various variations in the song. Like this isn't just copied and pasted.
Oh, okay.
There are little slight ending differences, beginning differences. So whichever one you picked, it's one of these, I think, though.
All right, so we got 31,600 views on YouTube right now, which is honestly, guys, it's fucking ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. That's very good, even for like a major artist on like a legit, like a bigger major label or something. That's very, very good. We're super happy with that. Yeah. Another question on here on the chat, and then I'm going to get up to you, Digital Rock. Who directed the video? All of us, one of us. How would we want to answer that?
There wasn't really a director. It was just kind of
like a collaboration, right?
Yeah, I mean,
kind of all of us.
We all stuck our noses into everything. Everybody there really.
Yeah, everyone contributed.
It was like I had mentioned earlier when we talked about the concept and the idea, what we wanted to do. We sort of just verbally described the game plan, and then we all kind of knew what to do. There wasn't a ton of like figuring out like, oh, how am I going to do this thing? How do we get this piece of equipment or material? Everyone just kind of went, boot. We all know what to do, and then everyone came with their A game. You know,
like the scene in your house. Like I think the idea was, let's just film in Ryan's house. There's a scene at the dining table, and then while we're setting up, we're like, oh shit, on that TV over there, what if we put static on there and have something in there? So it all just happened naturally.
It's really riffing just like a live band. It was on the spree or on the spur of the moment type of creativity, which is the coolest thing. It's the coolest way to do it, I think.
And I think with our brands, if you want to call them that, it allows us this freedom to do weirder things than like a normal artist might be able to do. And it's still somehow like people don't laugh at it. It's like, it makes sense to some degree.
For sure. All right. So Digital Rock, my brother. Hey, how are you? Unmute yourself.
Okay. Hey, what's up?
Hey, buddy. What's going on?
All you guys. Love you all. You know it.
What's up?
I seen you guys in Dallas not too long ago. Well, it's been a while, COVID thing. Brandon, I've known you forever,
Yeah, what's up, man?
Yeah. These guys are fucking cool. Hey, I'm so glad y'all doing this. This is great. I mean, it's just something I've wanted since 2001. I mean, like, seriously, this is like dreams. I was, a kid, and you guys, and having fan sites and listening to the ANIX and listening. I mean, have you guys ever heard Digital Rock? I'm just wondering, like the actual ANIX album, Digital Rock. That is like it pays homage to you guys. I mean, if you've never heard it, you have to hear it. I'm just saying, you just have to. It is amazing. It is amazing. You'll be like, wow. You'll be like, this guy, Brandon did this. You'll be like, whoa. Real. And I think Oscar too. Oscar was in there.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he was their drummer. Yeah. Okay, so Brandon, I got a question for you about the drums. How do you get it this sounding so good like that? I see you have that little machine little thing from Native Instruments. I see you use that. I think that's pretty cool. I'm trying to get my groove on it. I want to learn a few things, man. How do you get it sounding so big like that?
Are you talking the live drums, like that sound?
It's like a live, it's like a live drum,
I think on the choruses, since earlier I was talking about this huge like distorted tuba and like all these synth sounds. When you're using all these bass sounds, if you use a standard like acoustic kick drum, it doesn't really smash through that. So I usually use electronic samples under the acoustic ones, and on this you can hear like the electronic backbone basically.
Here, let me show them.
Yeah,
so in the chorus of our song, there's an electro track here, so he's definitely getting some subs out of those kicks and a nice little punch from the snare. Some noise, really. That probably helps cut through. And then here's some pseudo acoustic drums. I'm assuming you programmed these. You didn't record these in the studio. Ooh, a little flam there.
Yeah.
Fancy flam.
Nirvana, man.
So what do you use for this? Like what plugin do you use for the drums?
It's just samples that I've painstakingly collected and just found the right ones, and I'm running it through Machine.
Okay.
But I mean, you don't it's unnecessary because
you could put them in battery.
Anything, yeah. And really, I put it in machine, do the beat, and then I just play with the MIDI notes in the actual session. But yeah, I think it's just combining the acoustic stuff and then just finding the right electronic samples under it to complement it and make it sound huge. And with the acoustic drums, you just have to, I play drums in real life. So every time I'm programming a kit, I'm actually like doing the beat, on my table or whatever. So I know the variances in velocity on how an actual drummer would play it. So it's like not every single sample is the same velocity and volume and sound. So I think just having those differences in the live drum sound just make it feel and sound realer.
I want to see what this sounds like if I flip the phase between them. Actually, it helps.
It's opening a whole new world of phase flipping when I get home.
So I got to hear the bump in the kick drum when I kick this on. Watch.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. Yeah, that should actually be like that.
Great question. All right, so Nick, my friend, unmuting you.
Yeah, it's a
hit me, and then this will be our last question.
It's not necessarily a question just because I've run out. I just wanted to say thank you for doing this, and
thank you
to Brandon for basically being the soundtrack to my first year at college.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I basically replicated 90% of your songs for projects.
Nice.
Oh, that's amazing.
Love to hear it.
That's the coolest thing.
And I guess one comment on the more synthesized drums when you were just going through them. The snare reminded me a little bit of Closer by 9 Inch Nails.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was just thought that was really cool, and I just wanted to say thanks. I can't wait for whatever comes in the future.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank
man.
you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been really, really cool. If you guys like this kind of stuff, you guys that are new on all platforms, we do this stuff every weekend on our Julien-K Patreon. I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot more of Brandon because we've really, really enjoyed doing this. And honestly, it just even from a commercially successful standpoint, what we did together really resonated, and it's just going like wildfire. So we're super, super happy, and thank you guys so much for participating. We had a lot of people on all sorts of different platforms, and you guys are awesome. And our first case of Russian hackers, which I thought is was
cool.
really cool and
brought those.
surprisingly disturbing. And they came with like the revolutionary weird fucking
masks and everything.
What's that movie that
V for Vendetta?
V for Vendetta mask.
It does kind of fit into the whole world we're creating. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate it. I appreciate the fucking hack.
I guess we're not as small as we thought we were. Some Russian hackers actually gave a shit to come in and fuck with us.
That was unique. I hear about that happening in like AA meetings and shit. Like hackers get in there and they fuck with people, like but I've never experienced myself. So, guys, we really appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Thank you all the people on YouTube and Instagram and everything that we're watching. We literally ran phones batteries dead doing this. So thank you all so much. You'll be hearing more from us for sure, and we'll be seeing all of you. Thank you for all the shares, all the good stuff, and we love you.
Keep watching the video, keep streaming the song.
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much for supporting all of our projects, and we'll see you